All right, I'm going to get out of the way and get started with these stories. The first up is one of my people. Give it up for Schorzy.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kelle Schorzman. I go by Schorzy mostly. I've had that nickname for about 108 years, so I'm kind of stuck. So, a little about me. I did 10 years in WCCW, and I've been out for about 4 months, and I'm nailing it. So, I'm going to start off telling you a little bit about myself. I was born at a very young age. No, that's a lie. Wrong crowd. Anyway, I did not have the ideal. When I was little, I was like I was super tiny for my age. And I had bright red hair, I had glasses, the old brown octagon ones with a little strap around it, and my mom put me in pigtails that were so tight. My mom was a professional seamstress, so she handmade my clothes. It gets better. And I had a speech impediment. I still do, apparently. I stuttered and I lisped. So I got picked on. Wait a minute. I'm going to picture me in my wallet. Hang on. Yep. This is me from that Yeah, the full effect. See how short I am. Anyway, so I grew up, and so I learned to be funny, and I learned to be fast, because I was really picked on. And that was in the 70s. Perhaps, at my age. Anyway, so as I got older, I realized I was a lot different than some of the other kids. I did not like boys. I mean, as homies, yes, but I was starting to look at girls, and I thought, And I wasn't sure if that was right or not, and I kind of fought it, but it just stuck. So I caught a case of the gays. And then when I got older, I realized, for lack of the cliche, I felt like my insides didn't match my outsides. So today I identify as transgender. Back then, I was just a confused kid. Being a confused kid, not feeling comfortable in my own skin, I turned to alcohol. I was the only kid in the household. My dad had 2 older kids from a previous marriage, so it was just me and my parents. I had no one to talk to about these issues. My dad had this giant liquor cabinet, and it was like Fort Knox. It had all these locks on it, and everything, and but the hinges were on the outside. So I had a key. It's called a flathead screwdriver. So I would open up said liquor cabinet, and my friends, and we would drink the alcohol. And we're not done. We replace the vodka with water and the bourbon with tea. But don't get drunk and mix that up, because they'll catch you. So I just started drinking, and it made me kind of forget how confused I was and how out of sorts I felt. So I thought, so I heard about these underage clubs down in Seattle. I'm from E-Town, Edmonds. So they started, we sneak out of the house about 10 o'clock at night, go down to these clubs, and there's this one club called the Monastery, it was not a church, and we would dance the night away. And I saw this grown man in a dress, and I thought, here are my people. These are my people. So the downfall, I was also introduced to drugs at that time, heavy drugs. I did my first, wasn't even my drug of choice. I'll just say I tried methamphetamine, and that was the key. I was, I forgot about anything that bothered me. So this continued on and on and on. I went through various treatment centers. I was also diagnosed with a mental health condition. So I was in psych wards, and it was just back and forth. I just couldn't seem to get it together. I was confused. You got to stay on your medications and off the drugs. Yeah. So this is where it gets rough. December 4th, 2009, I relapsed, and I'd been off my medications for about 9 days. I made the worst decision of my life. I hurt someone very badly that is pretty much like a family member, and someone that trusted me and loved me, and my addiction just overpowered all of that, and I made a very poor choice. I got arrested. I ended up with a 10-year sentence. But I did almost 1 year in King County Jail. It had like a $4 million view, but the food is horrible. So I did, jail, and that was, I met some good people. They're just like in a bad way, like I was, like I was then. And so I was getting close to heading out to the prison, so I was asking people, I'm like, do you think I'm going to get beat up for being gay? I'm like, no. So, yeah, so I went to prison, and I was like, whoa. And so I didn't really care. I was like, well, I'm not really going to focus on anything because I'm just going to be here. I wasn't motivated for anything. And so I found like my little cluster of friends and we hung out. And but I needed something to do. And I noticed one day there was a flyer on the wall for Freehold Theater. And I can't say, I get all wobbly when I talk about Freehold Theater. I just love them so much. I did their theater program, and I just loved it because you get to, me and my peers, we would tell our stories, and then somehow Robin Smith, the director, would make this magical play after 4 months of our hard work. And we do one for the offenders, then we do one for the public the next night. That became a love of mine until I thought it'd be a really good idea to do some math in prison. Someone said, "You want to?" Sure, why not? It's fine. Never do drugs. But never do meth when you are in a cell. It's bad, real bad. So somehow it got out that there were drugs, and so we UA'd, and we failed miserably. The officer said the bottom of my cup fell out. She, really not. So you end up going to segregation, which they call the hole, and that you might get an hour out of the day, but sometimes not for 3 days. They don't owe you any favors. You're in segregation. I did 35 days there, still kind of like, and then, so I got out of the hole, and I thought, well, I'm going to try a little harder, So I continued on with Freehold, and then I noticed that the IF project, people were talking about the IF project. What is the IF project? So I took advantage of every opportunity I could, every workshop, anything they had to offer, I was going to take it. So I could sense myself starting to change, like wanting to, put the past behind me and move on and do really good things. So I did their prep class, I completed that, and that kind of set the tone for what I'm going to do when I get out of prison. Because I want to come into the community strong and do the right thing. So I did meth again. Same guy. Girl. Really no choice. So I go back to segregation, blah, blah, blah. So when you go to the hole, you get to have a hearing. The hearing is with usually this man named Lance. You don't want to ever be seen or hang out with Lance. He's the internal investigator at the prison, and you're either telling or you're busted for something. It's never Lance. So he was doing my hearing. Now keep in mind, I'm in a jumpsuit, we're shackled, we're handcuffed, and we're in this clear bubble, and all the people that are also in segregation, you see their little faces. So when you're handcuffed to the floor, it's like, okay, we talked about whatever, and then he goes, you don't even belong here. You don't even belong here. And I said, it's funny you say that. I said, because Lance, who's not my friend, I said, Lance, I promise you, when I get out of here, I'm going to change everything in my life. Because all I can think of is what would my parents are both deceased, but what would they think of this? This is not me. And it was that whatever aha moment you may or may not have in your life, that was mine. And so I got out of the hole, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to do good stuff. So I did technical design. I was going to make a little job, continue with Freehold. There's a TC program. It's the therapeutic community. It's a confrontational something. It addresses my behaviors and my addictions all at one time. Because a lot of times, like I said, I drank and used because I didn't feel comfortable with myself. Now I know how to, I'm okay. So I did the TC program for about 2.5 years and continued to do Freehold. I ended up doing 7 years at the prison with Freehold Theater. And when I got out, they gave me a full scholarship. And the IF project gave me an internship. So it's like, my transition from prison was pretty good because I made it that way. I advocated for myself, but I had If and a lot of my friends, real friends, to back me up and tell me I could do it, you know. We're gonna be your neighbors, so I wanna try really hard to be a good neighbor. I'm gonna borrow your lawnmower and give it back, full of gas. So, my goal now is to help other people transition from the prison to come out here. Because while I was in prison, I promise you there were so many people that came back through, like over and over. And people are like, I knew she'd be back. Not me. I'd go and go, man, what did you do? Or what didn't you do? Help me do better. So I can help people like you, blah, 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 when I get out. And so ever since then, I'm like, well, I want to help the people because I have people helping me with my transition. So my goal now is to help when people get out. The big things are kind of covered, housing and things like that, but it's the little things like DSHS and getting your food card, going shopping. All of that is very, very overwhelming. And it's that part that a lot of people are like, you know what, forget it. So I'm gonna sit with the people. On purpose, I'm gonna sit in the Social Security office. And that's fine. Because it's an hour and they're not, I don't know. There might be employees here. They're wonderful people. I encourage everybody to go to the office. So I would have added notes. It was a dream of mine for many years. Remember, I identified as transgender. I didn't even know what the word meant, but I never felt comfortable, like up until a year ago. But as of 4 months ago, I was offered, and I'm taking testosterone shots to not to change who I am, but I call it taking the edge off the girl. So finally, I can be who I want to be. I'm comfortable in my own skin. I'm on my medication. I don't use drugs and alcohol. I'm, an advocate for everyone that's coming out of the prison so they can really do well. And I want to thank everyone for coming here tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you.